In this episode on the Fact Hunter channel, we will tell the story of Operation Seelow, the German attack on England. It was early July 1940. Adolf Hitler was relaxing in a mountain retreat in the Black Forest in southern Germany, where he called on his two chief military advisors. Wilhelm Keitel, stiff and humorless, served as chief of staff of the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht. Alfred Jodl, on the other hand, translated the Führer's decisions into precise military directives. Hitler chose these two officers because they were known as Führertreue, blindly obedient to the commander-in-chief. Hitler declared to Keitel and Jodl that they should immediately begin preparations for the invasion of the British Isles, an operation that would be carried out by mid-October. A week later, Jodl and Keitel presented Hitler with the outlines of an invasion plan codenamed Seelow, Sea Lion. After making a few minor adjustments, the Führer signed General Operational Order No. 16, intended for Wehrmacht commanders. Since England, despite her hopeless military situation, has so far shown no apparent inclination to make concessions, I have decided to prepare and, if necessary, carry out a landing operation against England. The purpose of the operation will be to eliminate England as a base for waging war against Germany. Preparations for the operation must be completed by mid-August 1940. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. According to Hitler's directives, Operation Seelow was to begin as soon as the powerful Luftwaffe had crushed the much weaker RAF. A stranded Britain waited to strike across the Channel. England's defensive capabilities were very modest. If the Krauts come, Prime Minister Winston Churchill announced grimly to his advisors, "We will have to smash their heads in with beer bottles, because we have almost no other weapons." As soon as the Führer signed his order, Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda genius, launched a war of nerves to terrify the British and break their morale. Petty Goebbels was called a propaganda dwarf. Behind his back in Germany, the wily and cunning Goebbels proceeded with his operation on August 12th, 2 months before the start of Operation Seelow. At that time, Luftwaffe planes flew over southern England at night and dropped parachute-launched trays on the fields. As expected, the trays were discovered in the morning and local police rushed to the scene. Police officers found portable radio transceiver sets, explosives, letters with addresses of British dignitaries, including Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and instructions for German spies to go into action when the invasion began. Over the next few nights, the same thing was repeated in other areas of England. The parachute drops were, of course, a mystification intended to sow internal unrest, creating the impression that the huge and active Nazi spy apparatus in the Isles was waiting for the signal to strike. The British authorities concealed these facts from the press, but Goebbels' machinations had the intended effect. Passed from mouth to mouth, rumors of airdrops spread with lightning speed. In fact, agents of the British Secret Service captured almost all the spies soon after the outbreak of war. Angered, the British began to see a spy in practically everyone. In his war of nerves, Goebbels also used the radio. Broadcasting from Berlin, the announcers, who used fluent English devoid of a foreign accent and claimed deceitfully that they were British citizens, gave all sorts of advice to civilians on the airwaves. Strange advice these were indeed. Bewildered Britons were urged to stock up on straitjackets, because when the mighty Luftwaffe launches massive bombing raids on British cities, many will become confused. Those who will be overwhelmed by madness will be very dangerous, warned an ominous voice. They may go on a murderous rampage. And another authoritative voice resounded on Radio Berlin almost daily. He introduced himself as a well-known German doctor who had once lived in England and now thought only of relieving the cruel suffering that the hail of German bombs would surely cause. The benevolent doctor, who was in fact a member of Goebbels' staff, gave comprehensive instructions on how to bring first aid to the terribly burned and maimed. Goebbels knew that British civil defense commanders had warned the population to be on guard against German paratroopers who might land in England even before the actual invasion, as priests, nuns, or in other civilian disguises. German spymasters therefore told the British the secret. Fallschirmjägern were supplied with fog pills, invented by Nazi scientists. Each soldier would turn into a small cloud when he jumped out of the plane. The phrase "secret weapon" usually evokes disturbing associations, so Goebbels used it in his broadcasts, taking care not to dilute the effect by using it too often. One of these secret weapons, the German announcer announced, would be revealed when the invasion began. The Führer's scientists had constructed huge parachutes. These parachutes, much larger than any known to date, attached to airships, will allow them to float in the air over England and be indistinguishable from clouds. Berlin spy masters warned the British that London would become a target for the Führer's other secret weapon, airborne torpedoes. This new weapon will turn the booming capital into a pearl. The air torpedoes will be unerringly guided to designated targets by radio waves from an aircraft several kilometers from the target. The list of targets opens with Buckingham Palace, the residence of the King and Queen. Knowing that British generals still could not understand how the unconquered Eben-Emael fort near Liège in Belgium had fallen into German hands in less than an hour during Hitler's invasion of the West 3 months earlier, Goebbels decided to take advantage of his opponent's consternation. Hitler personally devised a brilliant plan to capture the fort quickly and at minimal cost. A detachment of about 100 paratroopers, codenamed Granite, landed on gliders on a grassy hill within the thick walls of Eben-Emael, causing confusion among the 800 Belgian defenders who capitulated after 40 minutes. It was the first glider landing in the history of the wars. Although it was a spectacular success, the Führer resisted the temptation to trumpet the feat to the entire world. He decided to keep the entire operation a secret so that gliders could be used again in the future with equally good results. Now Goebbels enlightened the British for the first time as to why Fort Eben-Emael fell so quickly. It had been destroyed by electronic rays, a revolutionary new weapon that would also be used in the invasion of Britain. On the night of August 1st, British radar detected a grouping of Luftwaffe bombers flying over southeastern England. They were heading toward London. It looked like the beginning of the promised massive air attacks on Britain. After all, not a single bomb fell. Instead, the planes dropped thousands of leaflets with English text printed on them and bearing the headline, "A Last Appeal to Reason." This attempt to defeat England by methods of psychological warfare failed. A shipbuilder in Dover read the leaflet, and his comment expressed the feelings of the majority of the British public. "Hitler has come to our rescue. With the whole damn card system, he dropped us toilet paper."